Hi guys. So the last thing I want to briefly talk about today is how it feels to be homeless. I forgot what YouTuber I stumbled upon the other day, but a lot of YouTubers are starting to put their experiences on being homeless. At first, I thought that's wild to be that vulnerable, but I am also a homeless person. For 6 years now, I've been nomadic. I took the vow or the oath of poverty. I know this sounds crazy, but I wanted to travel on little to no money. Also wanted to be a hippie. And, there's a lot of things that come with that. And I actively chose to be homeless because I realized that's just not what I wanted. And I guess I'm just going to explain kind of like what experience that I've been having. When you choose to be a hippie, honestly, in America, you're no different than just a bum or a homeless person. So you're going to be treated badly regardless. Um, and I think there's a lot of people in our collective who definitely don't know the difference between choosing to be, a person that relies on themselves and their path and trying to escape the matrix and all these things and try to rely on their art. Like some people see it as noble, but not often unless you make it. Unless you make it, a lot of people are just going to continue to see you as a starving artist, a homeless person, a bum, whatever, because we just aren't taught to see people with nothing as good people, especially if you're like black or you have tattoos. Like America is very built on stereotypes. So I don't know how it is to be like poor and homeless in different countries, but from my experience as a black woman, it has been a hell of a journey. And like I said in my previous videos of traveling on little to no money, a lot of my time was spent like volunteering in exchange for a place to live. And I work for a few hours and then I make money off of my craft, which is tarot reading. And so, and yes, so picking up odd jobs here and there, or just researching how to like survive that way, or literally you're kind of just relying on the good faith of human beings sometimes. Um, because though I chose this path, I've also experienced a lot of injustice because I was naive about the world. So imagine like choosing to be poor and homeless and not having a home because that just wasn't my priority. Plus, also our generation is kind of knowing that like a lot of part sorry, a lot of our generation is actively choosing to not have a home because it seems impossible, or they feel like it might never happen or it might happen at a later date, and people are choosing to travel. Of course, there are so many better ways to do it, but in my particular perspective, um, it has been tricky because I dealt with a lot of injustice at the same time. Because even when Trump was in office, I was Muslim in Islam. I was still on this like hippie figuring myself out journey, and I got the bad end of the stick a lot of times during that era of like hate crimes. Being poor, black, and Muslim is a triple threat, so it was pretty wild. And so a lot of times you are like sitting questioning yourself, like, why would anyone actively choose this route? um, but then you hear stories of people who have full-time jobs living out their car. People are choosing van life. People are, rent is getting crazy. Like from my position right now, I'm seeing like all the complaints of normal everyday people, and all I can think of is it makes sense. Um, but yeah, right now at 30, I've been thinking of like, what do I want to do? Like, what what path do I want to continue the path that I'm on, pretty much. And if not, what else would I do? And yeah, it has been hard. Like it a lot of it is because again, you're kind of relying on the good faith of other people, and what the world shows us, that's kind of like, it's a very sketch path because you don't know if there's that much good people or faith or miracles left in the world. And I think being a very spiritual person has helped me. I live my life based on faith, so that's kind of how I justify my choice of. And you hear a lot of stories of people, spiritual people, who take the oath of poverty. And yeah, some people glamorize it, like maybe it's not everyone's thing, but that very much so has been my path. And it's not to say that I don't need help from time to time. I do end up having to ask for help sometimes, or needing to figure things out on my toes. And um, again, you get to see the truth of who people are when you are poor and homeless, because people are going to show you their true colors. Like, you're going to see the best and the worst out of people. Like, I had a lady who, because I also ended up being displaced in Mexico during Trump season, just for safety matters. And I got off the bus in Mexico. The first lady I met off a bus in Mexico she just gave me cash and was like, yeah, don't even worry about it. Pay for my food at a restaurant. Was like, you'll like the people here. You'll be fine. And I don't know what angel this lady was, but she was right. As far as I know it so far. But yeah, it's a hell of a journey. I always say that if I didn't choose this path, I would never know how we treat the lowest people of the low. And I believe homelessness is in place to show people, to make people afraid to mess up in the matrix. I know it sounds conspiracy theory, but I believe homeless people are there to show people, like, this is what happens when you don't follow the rules, when you don't, clock in every day, even if you're miserable. But some people can do that. Like, that's perfectly fine. And a lot of times I find myself, even as a spiritual person who took this oath, it's kind of like, who are you to choose this path when everyone else is just still stuck in that dynamic? Even though the people who are choosing to leave the matrix, they still have to figure it out. And leaving the matrix is kind of getting harder and harder, because you are dependent. You need the matrix to survive. And then when you dismiss it, what are you going to depend on, basically? And so they don't want you to figure out how to do that, so you end up feeling like, damn, is this worth it, a lot of the time. So yeah. It's a hell of a journey. And again, it's like, would I take it back even now, some of the hardships that I still experience? But in means of being a truth seeker, it shows me more and more truth every day. You get to see, like, who's who, why we treat people the way we do, what's really people being nice and kind, and what's performative. And it's sad, because even when you, like, yell, like, because my story started from me also leaving abuse in my family, which made me very nomadic too. And then you find, when you tell your story a lot, people don't listen. And so that's the scary part too, when you start seeing just the truth of the lack of empathy in the world. So it shows you so many sides of humanity. And I think homeless people are also a mirror for everyday normal people. Whether we realize it or not, I feel like we're all being tested. And it's just crazy to think of it like that. But yeah, I'll probably talk more about it later. I just wanted to kind of touch on, yes, I am homeless, and by choice, but also, like, displaced in Mexico due to injustice. So it's been a hell of a life.